There's something in business called SOP, standard operating procedures. And I'm a firm believer that the things that we delegate should be things for which we have a standard operating procedure. So a very simple example of this is onboarding a new client. So let's say you sell to organizations or you sell to consumers. It doesn't matter. But you should have an onboarding process on how you onboard new clients, right? If you haven't onboarded enough new clients on your own, but then you try and outsource this responsibility to somebody else, the whole thing is going to be all over the place, right? They should know that, okay, the moment somebody signs a contract with us, they should receive their welcome email within 24 hours, and their welcome email should follow this template. And then the next thing is they should schedule their onboarding call. And if they don't schedule their onboarding call, then we should be following up with them. And then you should go to the website we use to send corporate gifts and send them a gift in the mail and tell them to welcome to the ecosystem. And then the process should be that succinct because you've done it enough times to teach it and train it. You just hiring people to do stuff for you that there is no standard operating procedure for.
Welcome to the Radical Obedience Podcast, where clarity meets courage and surrender becomes your strategy. I'm your host, Lisa A. Smith. Over the years, people have told me, Lisa, you're the forever voice in my head. At first, I wasn't sure how to take it, but then I realized they weren't talking about me. They were talking about the questions I leave them with, the perspective shifts they can't unhear. So if you ever needed a forever voice in your head that reminds you to choose peace over performance, purpose over pressure, and surrender over control, welcome home. If you're a leader, entrepreneur, or high achiever who looks successful on the outside but feels overwhelmed, exhausted, or unfulfilled on the inside, this podcast is for you. Each week, we'll explore how complete surrender can help you eliminate chronic stress and burnout, gain clarity, and create a life that feels as good as it looks. Because in a world obsessed with control, the greatest transformation often begins when we finally let go. Welcome to the Radical Obedience Podcast.
Many years ago, I heard a quote that I'll never forget. And I embodied this quote so much because it rang so true to my spirit and my natural way of handling business and dissatisfaction with individuals. I was at a speaking class, and I heard this person get on a mic and he was telling his speech, and he said, you can't change people, but you can change people. Blew my mind. Let me repeat it. This man was talking about having people in your life and the importance of having the right people in your life and the importance of releasing the wrong people. And he was just talking about, mastering quality relationships and being intentional about who you let into your aura and your orbit. And this man got up on that mic and he said, I hope it hit y'all the way it hit me. He said, you can't change people, but you can change people. And I embodied that so much so that I spent the first several years of my business constantly changing people. If you don't get it, let me explain to you. What he was saying is, if there's a particular person in your life who is not respecting your boundaries, or someone who is not respecting your values, or if it's somebody who works for you who is not doing their best job and you're constantly having to correct their work, what he was saying was, you can't change that individual, right? You might not be able to make them or turn them into who you want them or need them to be, but what you do have the option of doing is changing people, i.e. swapping them out for somebody else, right? This man said, you can't change people, but you can change people. Now, I told y'all, I then spent the first several years in my business constantly changing people. If I had an assistant that wasn't holding up to my standard, I'm like, swap them out for a new person. If I had a friend who I didn't believe kind of led their life with the moral code that I expected my friends to, then swap them out for a new friend. Like, anytime I got a glimpse of someone not being what I needed them to be, then you can't change people, but you can change people. So I never wasted energy trying to change people. Still to this day, I'm still working on it. Now, this is a good model and belief to have, but it can go too far because I also looked up after several years in business and had been through several people. And I looked up after several years and I'm like, now, wait a minute. It can't be this many, quote unquote, inadequate people in the world. It's got to be something with me. I have to take responsibility for constantly have to change people. And so I started better understanding what was required of me as a leader in order to really both attract and keep really good people, whether those people were working for me at my company or in the realm of professional relationships or familial relationships or romantic relationships. It didn't matter what it was. I had to master this art of peopling the right way. And so I have extremely, extremely high standards for myself, which means I also have very high standards for the people that work for me and with me, right? And so as I mentioned, over the years, I've had a lot of people work for me. And also over the years, I've went through several seasons of burnout and overwhelm, like many other entrepreneurs have. And the thing I need to teach you today is how to delegate. Because for many of us, we just constantly want to change people. And also, for many of us, we also have not mastered this art of delegation. We have not taken seriously the responsibilities that come with delegation. Now, if you want to avoid constantly going through seasons of burnout because you're doing too much, you're overwhelmed by the responsibilities that you've taken on, and you really want help, I'm going to teach you how to have help today. Today, during Monday Morning Keynote with yours truly, Coach Lisa, I am going to teach you, my friends, the art of delegation. And I'm going to tell you why, the hidden reason why delegation isn't giving you more freedom. For a lot of us, we want to hand off stuff to other people, especially in business, but we have not really made time to understand what it means to delegate at a high level. And I'm going to teach you that today. And I'm going to teach you a couple of things. The first thing I'm going to teach you is why people don't delegate. The second thing I'm going to teach you is who shouldn't delegate. All of y'all ain't ready to delegate. I'm sorry. You tired and you're going to have to keep being tired until you hone these skills I'm about to teach you. And then the third thing I'm going to teach you is who should delegate. So why you don't delegate, who should, and who shouldn't. And I'm going to teach you the difference between an immature and a mature delegator. So if the source of your chronic stress is your to-do list, if the source of your chronic stress is all of your responsibilities, then this is the Monday morning keynote for you. Let's get into it. Let's talk about delegation. Okay, so I told you guys in the beginning today that I heard this quote many years ago where this dude said, you can't change people, but you can change people. And I ran with it. I ran too fast and too far with it. And I spent years changing people, just turnover, 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 until finally I had to stop in my tracks and I had to realize that I may have been part of the problem as to why I couldn't keep people in my company. I'm hiring help. I knew I needed help, admins, assistants, all of these things, right? They weren't meeting the standard. And so I was letting them go. And so I was constantly changing people. And so until I learned the art of delegation. And so let me break down. I'm going to start with you guys today, giving you four reasons on why we don't delegate. Now, if this is you, put a 1 in the chat if you find yourself currently overwhelmed by all the things that you have to do. I'm overwhelmed, coach. I have so much going on that I don't know what to prioritize first, right? I don't even feel like I have enough energy to last to the end of my to-do list. And I actually struggle with delegating. I actually struggle with the idea of it, the thought of it, the doing of it, or the being consistent with it, right? So that to-do list is long, the responsibilities seem endless, and you have a lot to do, but we're not delegating. Let me break down 4 reasons why we're not. Then I'm going to tell you who should, who shouldn't, and the difference between immature and mature delegation. Because delegation is often proposed as a solution to chronic overwhelm and chronic burnout, right? Like you got to give all this stuff away. You can't try and do everything on your own. However, here's the reasons I've seen as a leader and as a business coach and as a personal development coach as to why people don't get delegate. Number 1, fear of losing control. Fear of losing control, right? For some of us, and I'm going to tell you why you have a fear of losing control, but some of us, it is very hard to give tasks and responsibilities to other people or to share responsibilities with other people because we feel safer when we're completely in control. So if you struggle with feeling safe you're going to want to be in control all the time. And delegation is essentially relinquishing some of that control. Now, part of the reason I've heard and seen a lot of our clients fear losing control is because their faith muscle is weak. Okay. So a weak faith muscle may make you feel like you have to maintain control over everything in order to feel safe. Because if I release this, something can happen that's outside of my control. And if something happens outside of my control, I don't trust that there is something in someone, hello God, hello Jesus, that has more control than me. When we don't delegate because we fear losing control, because losing control makes us feel unsafe, is often because our faith muscle is weak. Now, if you guys have ever heard me teach about faith, you've heard me say that the only way to make a muscle grow is by lifting weight. Well, that's not just for your biceps. That's not just for your triceps. That's not just for your quadriceps. Your faith is a muscle as well. So if you want your faith muscle to grow, guess what? You got to give it something to lift. So for those of you who do not delegate, because you don't like the feeling of not being in control, because not being in control makes you feel like you're not safe, you have to go to the gym, to the spiritual gym, amen, and work on your faith muscle. Because all of this need for control is due to a lack of faith. I can't trust what I can't see. I can't trust if I can't predict the outcome. I can't trust if everything isn't predictable and routine and ritualistic. So relinquish control, lift heavier weights, give more responsibility to God so you can recognize it's safe to delegate. So, reason number one why we don't delegate, even though we are past our upper limits, even though we daily surpass our upper limits, is because we fear losing control. We fear losing control because when we're not in control, we don't feel safe. We don't feel safe because our faith muscle is weak. So this is your invitation. Like when I'm going down this list as to why you don't delegate, even though you're burnt out, I want you to pick the one that is you, and that's the thing you start working on. You don't try and delegate today. You work on this. So number one is, oh, thanks, coach. I need to work on my faith muscle before I can effectively delegate. Does that make sense? Okay. Reason number two that I've watched and seen people not delegate: fear of theft, especially in business. So sometimes individuals don't delegate because they're afraid someone is going to steal their ideas. Somebody's going to steal their intellectual property. Somebody is going to steal their magic, right? So I've heard this over and over again. Like if I delegate or if I have somebody come in and help me and I give them access to my back end and give them access to this, then they might take from me, like they might steal from me. They might betray me. They might backstab me, right? And for some people, it's because it's happened before. And for others, it's just a fear that they have. They're like, I'm just so afraid of showing somebody the thing that I've created. I'm just so afraid of showing somebody my back end secret sauce, right? And so I don't want to delegate because I'm afraid of theft. I'm afraid of somebody stealing from me. I'm afraid of showing people my secret sauce, my secret tea. But baby, nobody can steal the magic that is yours. But if this is you, again, it goes back to faith. It is a trust issue. Now, if you don't delegate because you're afraid someone's going to steal from you, yes, you need to work on your faith, right? Because the truth of the matter is you can't sustain any project by being the only person working the project. It's not a sustainable protocol. But the other thing is there's legalities you can put into place too, right? So there's ways you can protect yourself by vetting the people you delegate to, by having terms and conditions and contracts and non-competes and, non-disclosure agreements and all of that. Like you can make it very clear that I will come after you with every bone in my body if you try to steal from me. Now, that doesn't necessarily stop people from stealing, but you can have your business and your ideas and your intellectual property structured in such a way that somebody knows there will be consequences in furniture moving should you try me, right? You can very much give a don't try me energy. Now, you shouldn't have to based on who you attract and how you vet people, right? So there is a science to delegation. There is a science into inviting people into your world where they get to see the back end of your sauce and all of your magic. And the way you vet people should also play a role in your being able to trust them, right? So there's multiple fronts here, right? There's legal approaches, there is vetting and recruitment techniques, and there is God, right? And so all of those should be in play. But the thing that we know to be true is your way, the way you're doing it right now, trying to hold on to everything because you're so afraid of somebody taking your bright idea, ain't working for you because you're tired. And when you hold on to everything and you try and do everything because you're so afraid of somebody betraying you, that also compromises the quality of the work you produce because you're stretched so thin across multiple responsibilities that you can't operate with a spirit of excellence consistently. Like you might have a good day, you might have a good week, and like, oh, I did good work this week, but now you're exhausted for the rest of the month, or you're exhausted for the next week, and the quality of work dips. And so if you want to have a consistent spirit of excellence, you're gonna have to start relinquishing control and delegating, but you can't do that if you fear that somebody's going to steal from you. Okay. So reason number one, we don't delegate, fear of losing control, because we only feel safe if we're in control of everything. Reason number two, we don't delegate. We're afraid somebody's going to steal from us because we don't have a good vetting process in place. We don't have a good attorney and legal documents in place. And we certainly have not understood how God works. Like when he gives you the gift, the vision, and the provision, that means you are the most equipped person to execute on that idea. So it doesn't matter if someone else wants to start a similar business. It doesn't matter if somebody else wants to do a similar thing. You got to know you the magic. Like, trust me when I tell you, I'm the magic. I'm the magic. Matter of fact, I believe in my magic so much, I teach people voluntarily the systems and stuff and all the things I put in place to run my business, and I'm still the magic. I'm still the magic. They got to go out and be magical in their own way, right? So you cannot be so afraid of somebody stealing from you that you don't actively delegate. Okay, here's the third reason you don't delegate. And then I'm going to tell you who shouldn't delegate, who ain't ready, and who should. Again, this is an antidote to chronic stress, but for a lot of you, it won't work for you. You still won't have freedom when you try and delegate if you haven't healed from this stuff that I'm talking about. Reason number three. All right. Reason number three, you don't delegate. Fear of sharing or losing the spotlight. Okay. So another reason I've seen people not delegate is because, listen, they might be doper than me. They might be better at this than me. I don't like the way that feel. I'm used to being the superstar. I'm used to having the spotlight on me, and I don't want to share the spotlight. And if that is you, this is an ego situation, right? So if you don't want to delegate, because like the business type of company I run is a coaching company, right? And so I have coaches, program coaches that coach in my programs, right? Do you know how overwhelmed and stressed out I would be if I didn't allow people to assist me with coaching in my company because I was so afraid that they're going to teach my students and the students are going to fall in love with them and then they're not going to like me anymore, or they even might steal my clients? You will not survive in life thinking like that. You will not survive. Matter of fact, I literally intentionally give my coaches a platform from which to speak and teach so that our clients can fall in love with them. If you understood how favor works, you would know there is not a limit on it. If you understood how the universe works, you would know we live in an infinite universe with infinite possibilities. If you understood how your assignment works, you would know that your assignment is for you. And you would know that your gift would always make room for you. And you would know that it is safe to not just share the spotlight with other people, but to actually move out the way and give the spotlight to other people. So today in our coaching company, we had a live in-person event a couple months ago in Houston. Well, last month, that was beginning of May. So last month in Houston, we had a live event and my whole team came to Houston, clients came to Houston, and we had what's called a radical obedience assembly. And during that assembly and in the preparation for this event, I met with my team and I told them, I want y'all speaking. I want y'all teaching. I want y'all coaching. I want y'all leading some of these sessions. We had Carmel doing the meditation. I made sure I did a panel with my entire team. I made sure I gave them the opportunity to get in front of the room and teach and coach and speak and get their reps in. I share the spotlight with my team. I have absolutely no fear of losing the spotlight. As a matter of fact, and this just might be my introvert talking, It's attractive to me to lose some of the spotlight. I'm like, please go talk to somebody else sometimes. And no offense, like I love what I do, but it's not a sustainable business where Lisa is always the end all be all. Like I need people to be in love with Coach Milan. I need people to be in love with Coach Tip. I need people to be in love with Coach Carmel. Like I need people to be in love with Coach Kiwi. And guess what? That's exactly the type of company I've created. Every single person at my company has garnered fans from our community. If you don't delegate because you have a fear of losing the spotlight, this is an invitation. This is an invitation to really turn inward and say, why can't I share the stage with somebody else? What type of insecurity is this that I am afraid that other people are going to like them better than me? And that means that I'm lacking something or I'm going to lose something. This is an invitation. Delegation is an art, but you have to be healed to do it effectively. You have to be healed, right? And so you have to be able to look at yourself, look at the woman in the mirror and say, you're doing too much. And for some reason, you're not asking for help. And why is that? You're doing too much. And for some reason, you're not hiring help. Why is that? What part of me is asking for attention right now? Is it my faith muscle? Is it my ego? Is it my lack mindset? Somebody's going to steal from me and two ideas can't be in the world at once. Like, what is it that's stopping you from being able to properly delegate? Let me get into reason number 4 why you don't delegate. And I'm going to tell you who should and who shouldn't. So reason number 1 was fear of losing control. Reason number 2 was fear of theft. Reason number 3 was fear of sharing or losing the spotlight. And reason number 4, why you don't delegate, even though you are stressed out and overwhelmed, is because you have a lack mindset. So, child, I keep me a housekeeper, okay? Keep me a housekeeper. Don't play with me. Matter of fact, I keep me 2. Don't play with me. Because one thing I'm not about to do is lift a finger. And number 2, one thing I'm not about to do is be in a dirty house, okay? So I love things spotless, okay? It's very much given a place for everything and everything in its place, right? So my housekeeper that I had in Houston, she was so cute, Sasha. She was so kind, right? She was a sweet little thing. But every time she got to my place to clean my house, child, Sasha was tired. Okay, Sasha was tired. Like I saw it soon as she came in the door. Like Sasha was tired. Sasha come in, she got her mop, she got her vacuum, she got her towel. I'm like, Sasha, let me carry that for you. Like, let me help you out. Like, I'm like, how you tired before you start wiping stuff down? Like, Sasha. So me being the business coach that I am, anybody who I hire to do work for me, just in the regular world, I don't care if you a hairdresser, I don't care if you a house cleaner, child, I don't care if you my waxer, I don't care if you my nail tech, some kind of way. So you gonna end up getting coached by me. I don't know. It just is in me, not on me. I don't know. So every conversation somehow leads to me helping these people, these entrepreneurs in their business, right? So I'm talking to Sasha and I'm like, Sasha, you sure do look tired. You sure you okay? You need to cancel today? Because I prioritize health over everything. I can get somebody else in here to clean this. And what I don't need you to do is pass out while you in here. And she was like, I just need help. And I said, well, Sasha, you got to hire help. And Sasha said, well, I tried hiring help. And I was training a girl and she just wasn't doing a good job. She wasn't cleaning like I was cleaning. And I said, Sasha, well, did you give her enough chances? And I said, well, Sasha, did you train her appropriately? And I said, Sasha, and also, did you set the standard? Like, we want people to do a good job, but do we do a good job of defining what a good job is? I said, you got to make stuff plain, Sasha. I was like, so I'm going down all the list of things that have to happen for her to properly delegate. And she was like, no, I didn't do that. No, I didn't do that. And no, I didn't spell out what good is and not good is and what excellent is. I said, well, Sasha, you got to try again, baby girl. You gonna have to hire somebody. Because she was like, I tried it. I tried to hire somebody and it didn't work out. And that was the beginning and the end of delegation for Sasha. And I said, Sasha, baby, you got uneducated expectations. You got to lack minds. Because she was like, it didn't work out. I tried. I hired somebody. It didn't work out. They didn't do a good job. They were slacking. They weren't reliable. And she said, so it's just not enough good people. It's just not enough people who willing to work and got the work ethic like I got. And I said, Sasha, you dead wrong, baby. It is good people. It's somebody right now praying for an opportunity like the one you offering. I said, you got uneducated expectations. You thought you was going to find somebody that was remotely interested and you was going to tell them what needed to be done. And you thought cleaning sounded intuitive, but you didn't understand the amount of training that was going to be required. You didn't understand the standards that needed to be made plain. You didn't have the checks and balances in place. You didn't have the oversight in place. Your recruiting and hiring system probably ain't polished. You got an uneducated expectation. You thought you was just going to put a feeler out there and somebody was going to say yes and you have found your person and you was going to delegate from there. I'm like, it takes peaks and valleys and reps to get a good somebody, and then you got to train them and then you got to monitor them. I said, Sasha, baby girl, you got a lack mindset because you said it ain't enough people out here who want to do good work. Wrong. And you got uneducated expectations because you thought you was going to be able to do the bare minimum as a leader and they were going to perform with excellence. That ain't how this works. Some of y'all is Sasha. Some of y'all got a lack mindset. Some of you are maybe have tried to hire somebody once or twice and you're out here like, it's just everybody wants to take advantage. Nobody has good work ethic. Nobody can be on time. Everybody wants to be paid for mediocre work. You just lack. That ain't the truth. But you think you lack. You think there's not enough good help. You think there's not enough good people. You think there's not enough time. You think there's not enough money. You think there's not enough support. Baby, your whole subconscious mind is swimming in lack. And that's why you can't delegate. It's not them, it's you. You have uneducated expectations because you don't know what leadership is. You ain't never been trained to be a leader. You think you can hire somebody and somebody can say yes, and all of a sudden you a leader. You a boss, but you ain't a leader. A leader is a skill. It's a skill that you got to hone and develop. And if the moment you try and hand over a responsibility to somebody else and they don't do a good job, if you ain't a great leader, it's probably your fault and not theirs. Come on, Sasha. Stacy said, okay, Beyonce. Ain't nobody say nothing Sasha fierce, okay? We talking about my housekeeper, Sasha in Houston. But for real, Sasha was like, these people suck. I tried delegating, it ain't work, so I guess I'm just going to be a solopreneur for the rest of my life. Now, how the cleaning business going to grow, Sasha, if you decide you're the only one who can do as good as you do? You are not the only one who do as good as you do. But you have to understand what being a leader entails, okay? You got to understand what being a leader entails. Lorraine said, I am Sasha. Right. I tried delegating and instantly condemned them when they didn't do a good job. That's not how this works, y'all.
Let me ask you something. How much is stress costing you? Is it costing you your energy, your focus, your health, your peace? See, most of us have been told to manage chronic stress, but here's the truth. Managing chronic stress isn't enough. You deserve to eliminate it at the root. That's why we created the Clarity Lab, where stress meets strategy. The Clarity Lab is a 5-day immersive stress focus group. It's an experience that's designed to help you uncover your biggest stress triggers, reframe how you respond to pressure, and build a personalized strategy for sustainable health and performance. In just 5 days, you will walk away better understanding what's at the root of your stress, what limiting beliefs have been keeping you stuck, and more important, how to start moving with confidence, control, and clarity. And the best part, you won't do it alone. You'll be guided by myself and my team of coaches alongside a powerful community on the journey to do the exact same thing. So, if you're ready to stop paying the price of stress and start living with clarity, join us inside of our next Clarity Lab. Spots are limited, but you can secure yours right now at lisaangelsmith.com/Clarity Lab. That's lisaangelsmith.com/Clarity Lab. Clarity Lab is where stress meets strategy. I'll see you in the lab.
So I told you the 4 reasons why people typically don't delegate. In my years of being a coach and coaching people through chronic stress and burnout and overwhelm, and listening to, they have a fear of losing control. They have a fear of somebody stealing from them. They have a fear of their ego doesn't want to share the spotlight, or they have a lack mindset. They don't think there's good help out here, and they have uneducated expectations of what has to happen immediately after you delegate. Okay. Now I want to teach you who should not delegate. Okay. So just so that you can, this is going to be a bit of a assessment, if you will, right? So there's a couple things that if these things are true, you should not be trying to delegate. The first one is people who are not ready to lead. When you delegate responsibility to someone else to get something off of your plate, okay, the very first thing you have to do is become a leader. Now, a leader means you have mastered the art of communication and articulation. When you have someone come into your business, into your life to help you, they have to know what is required of them. And you have to be great at articulating that. Have you ever worked under someone who wanted you to do a bunch of stuff, but they weren't good at explaining what the responsibility was, weren't good at explaining how to do it, but they had these expectations of you, like, here, take this over, and I expect you to know everything. Like, that is not good delegation. So you should not be trying to delegate if you are not ready to lead people, if you are an inept leader. And most of us are. Most of us do not have leadership training. Like, it's not enough to be so busy that you need help. That doesn't just automatically make you a leader. Like, you have to know how to write a job description. Like, here in black and white are your responsibilities. I need you to do this on these days. Then not only do you have to spell out to people what their responsibilities are, you also hold on to your hats. You have to create a measure for them of what excellence is, what mediocre is, what crap is. Like, they have, you both, you and the person you delegate to, have to be able to effectively measure whether or not they're doing a great job. There has to be a system. There has to be a system where both of you know very clearly, this is phenomenal, this is mediocre. Right? And for some of us, like, we could tell somebody, just go clean a house, but they have to know what a good cleaning house is. Let me give you an example. Okay, now I told y'all about my housekeeper in Houston, Sasha, right? Now, Sasha was a good cleaner. I ain't gonna hold you, right? I wouldn't rate her as, low. I wouldn't rate her as even average. I would say Sasha was like good. But guess what happened literally 2 days ago? So now I'm living in Jersey, right? I'm not in Houston right now. So now I'm living in Jersey. And I had my second house cleaner come clean my place here in Jersey. She came 2 days ago. Her level of detail and cleaning knocked Sasha off the rank. Connie's level of cleaning was phenomenal. Let me make it plain. Have y'all ever had somebody come to your house and mop your cabinets? Huh? No. You heard that right. Baby, she put a brand new clean end on the mop. You know how you can swap out the little pad thingy? And this lady stood in my kitchen, I am not exaggerating, and mopped up and down the cabinets. Baby. Okay. Y'all not getting it. I got a candle right here. Hold on. Y'all know how y'all burn a candle? And when you burn a candle, the black smoke will get around the glass, and the glass, if it's a white candle like this, the glass will start getting dark from the smoke, from the flame. Connie, every candle in my house, she cleaned the soot off the Have you ever had somebody clean your candles? I ain't think so. Connie, phenomenal cleaner. Sasha, good cleaner. I had her on rotation in Houston. I got to Jersey and Connie came and cleaned my house. Baby, this woman mopped my cabinets. I don't know if the cabinets have ever been mopped. I'm talking about, I'm watching her in the kitchen, up and down the cabinets. You know how sometimes you have a candle that's too close to a wall or something, and so some of the flame will create like a little black spot on the wall, and you see how light these walls are, right? Baby, Connie said, oh yeah, I reached up there with my mop on your wall and I got that black soot from your candle. I didn't even know that stuff can come off. But Connie knew. You want to know why? Because she was a phenomenal cleaner. So guess what happens now? The next cleaner that I hire, but I don't even know if I'm hiring another cleaner. I told Connie, baby, when I move out of Jersey, I'm flying you into wherever I am. I don't care. Connie cleaning all my homes in the future. I move to Cali, I'm flying Connie in. I ain't never had a cleaner this phenomenal. But let's just say I don't. Let's say Connie retire, right? And I got to hire a brand new house cleaner in the next city that I live in. Guess what I have now? A standard. Connie has raised the standard. So now when a new cleaner comes in and we doing an intake and she's like, tell me what you're looking for when I come every 2 weeks, when I come every week. Tell me how, I'm going to be like, well, I want my cabinets mopped. I want my candles clean. If there's a brown spot on the wall from the candle burning, I expect it to be gone. I want my floors waxed. I want my windows. Like, it's a different level now. And that is leadership. A leader has the ability, when they're delegating a task, to spell out very plainly, this is what phenomenal looks like. This is what good is. This is what average is. This is what below average is. You can't delegate if you are not ready to lead. Leaders have mastered the art of articulation. Leaders have mastered the art of delegate. Leaders have mastered the art of creating measuring sticks. Nobody can work for you or on your behalf if you haven't spelled out to them what excellent is, what phenomenal is, what the standard is. What is the standard? So some of y'all get so mad at other people. You try and pass on the responsibility to somebody, and these poor people don't know what their responsibilities are. They don't know what they should or shouldn't been doing. And even if they know what they should be doing, like, okay, she hired me to post on her social media. She hired me to edit her podcast. But they don't know what your brand voice is. They don't know what your brand ethos is. They don't know how you write your captions. They don't know how you describe yourself. They don't know different websites they should be linking in the captions. Like, you haven't made it plain. Delegation, typically, like the assimilation of a new person to a new responsibility, I would say takes on average a year. But what happens is after about 30 days, we mad at everybody else because they not good. No, you not good. You suck as a leader. You have not done a good job of spelling out the roles and responsibilities. The day you delegate is not the day you feel relief. The day of delegation is not the day of freedom. Somebody hashtag that. The day of delegation is not the day of freedom. The moment you delegate is the moment your work increases, because you then have to make sure you have terms and conditions, standards, measuring sticks. You have to manage people. So who shouldn't delegate? An inept leader, someone who is not craftsful. That's not a word. Someone who has not mastered the art of explaining, teaching, training, terms and conditions, black and white. Here's what I want. Here's what it should look like. And even better, if you have examples. The day of delegation is not the day of freedom. The moment you tell somebody, I need you to post on my behalf. I need you to do social media on my behalf. I need you to clean my house on my behalf. I need you to coach in my program on my behalf. I need you to write emails on my behalf. I need you to, whatever you delegate, your work goes up. As a leader, you have to be able to explain people what good is. Like, for example, if you tell somebody, okay, you're going to be helping me coach our clients. You're going to be doing client intake calls or client onboarding calls or something where they're front facing with your client and customers, right? If you're not going to give them a script and you're just going to expect them to know what to say, you are running a lot of risk. And so you got to be able to say, here's what we say. Here's how we greet the customer. Make sure you do this. Make sure you don't do that. Make sure, like, you got to role play with them. Like, you got to understand how much work it takes to delegate effectively as a leader. Like, I gave my coaches in my company a script on how to run our coaching calls. I said at the top of every call, here's what happens first. You announce the class that they're attending. You welcome our community. You welcome people and acknowledge the people who it's their first time. You explain what's about to happen. At the end, this is how you close every coaching call. And then guess what happened? I stop and I listen to them. I audit them to make sure they're doing it the way do you see what I'm saying? The day of delegation is not the day of freedom, because now people have to assimilate to your leadership style. They have to learn your systems and your processes for doing things. You cannot be irritated with people that you have not properly trained. You should not be delegating until you have become a good leader. The second type of person that should not be delegating is the person who has no mastery over a repeatable process. Some of you delegate prematurely. Some of you have not established enough repeatable processes in your business to delegate. Some people, so a very prime example of this is like social media, for example. So a lot of people, we need to do social media marketing. We need to do email marketing, right? You might do long form content like a podcast, or you have a YouTube channel and you want somebody to clip it up for you. But guess what? You don't want to do it yourself. So what you do, you try and delegate. And then you get upset when they're not good. Like, this clip sucks. Why would they post this? Or this caption ain't hitting. Or this doesn't sound like me. You want to know why? Because you haven't done it long enough to teach it to somebody else. Or you've done it long enough, but either the way you've done it hasn't been consistent enough for somebody to study what you've done, pick up the pattern and the style, and repeat it. There's something in business called SOP, standard operating procedures. And I'm a firm believer that the things that we delegate should be things for which we have a standard operating procedure. So a very simple example of this is onboarding a new client. So let's say you sell to organizations or you sell to consumers. It doesn't matter. But you should have an onboarding process on how you onboard new clients, right? If you haven't onboarded enough new clients on your own, but then you try and outsource this responsibility to somebody else, the whole thing is going to be all over the place, right? They should know that, okay, the moment somebody signs a contract with us, they should receive their welcome email within 24 hours, and their welcome email should follow this template. And then the next thing is they should schedule their onboarding call. And if they don't schedule their onboarding call, then we should be following up with them. And then you should go to the website we use to send corporate gifts and send them a gift in the mail and tell them to welcome to the ecosystem. And then, like, the process should be that succinct because you've done it enough times to teach it and train it. You just hiring people to do stuff for you that there is no standard operating procedure for. So you should be not delegating if you don't have mastery over a repeatable process in your business. Does that make sense? Mastery over a repeatable process is the type of task that is worth delegating. If you're new to onboarding, if you're new to offboarding, if you're new to coaching, if you're new to content creation, if you're new to posting, if you're new to podcasting, be very careful with trying to delegate too soon, because both of y'all going to be all over the place trying to figure it out together. Stop being lazy. Do it yourself enough times to where, okay, I got my process down. This is how I like it to be done. I didn't like it done that way. Like now I know. Like now I know how I like my house to be cleaned. Like, look, if you don't mop cabinets, don't call me. If you ain't giving Connie level cleaning energy, we can't work together, right? So you want to be able to outsource. You want to be able to outsource a repeatable task that you have mastered, because you can't effectively train. And most importantly, you cannot effectively set standards if you have not done that. Y'all got that? Okay. Now, there's two types of hires. This is the most important thing I've ever learned in business when it comes to hiring help and delegating. Hardest lesson to learn. The first type of hire is a task manager. Okay. So when you want to outsource something to somebody, and this doesn't have to be in a business, it could just be in your life. We all need help in different areas. Okay. But the first type of help is called a task manager. Now, a task manager is somebody who only capable, like their skill set begins and ends with being told what to do. Okay. So a task manager, it means that in order for them to really provide relief for you, everything has to be spelled out. Like, it cannot be any ambiguity. Like, a task manager is somebody who just takes the list of things that you want them to do and check them off. If it's not on the list, it ain't gonna get done, right? And if it's on the list and it's unclear, it ain't gonna get done well. So a task manager is somebody who's just like, oh, well, you said post about your new podcast episode every Tuesday at 7 a.m. Task manager, right? Like, you said that you wanted me to follow up with people who filled out your booking form to book you to speak. Okay, I sent an email. You told me what to say. I said that. Task manager, right? That's a task manager. A task manager It's only gonna do, like, I hear this from a lot of parents. They're like, the kid only do what you ask them to do, nothing more, nothing less, right? They're not gonna go out of their way. They're not trying to problem solve. They only, like you said, put the dishes in the dishwasher. You didn't say put a tablet in there and turn it on, right? Like a task manager is very much like, I only can do what I see and quite literally what I heard. I'm not gonna go any extra mile. Not because like I'm trying to be lazy, it's because I don't even think that way. Like a task manager is only able to do what you told them to do. Now, the second type of hire when you're trying to delegate is a decision maker. Now, a decision maker is what all of us want, but the majority of us cannot afford. Okay. So when we're trying to delegate, most of us can only afford task managers. However, a decision maker is someone who you can literally hand off responsibilities that you ain't got to touch and be a part of. A decision maker is somebody who can take over a task without needing much from you. A decision maker is somebody who can literally take over my social media editing without me having to micromanage everything they do, right? Somebody who knows all the tech they need to use, all the editing software they need to use, have mastered my voice, mastered my brand identity, mastered our brand ethos, can post on my behalf, can watch how something performs and be like, oh, I'm going to pull more clips like this from her because these clips perform very well for her. Like that's a decision maker. A task manager ain't gonna do that. They're gonna be like, well, you said post this clip right now. They're not looking at data. They're not paying attention and looking for other problems that they can solve so that they don't have to bother you. The decision maker, they don't know how to do that, right? So most of us want a decision maker, but we can only afford a task manager. And so this is important to know for somebody who's overwhelmed and burnt out, because delegating you think is gonna provide relief, but then you get frustrated when you realize you got to micromanage. You have to micromanage a task manager until you give them something that they've done so much that they don't need you to check in, right? I micromanage all of the tasks that I delegate until they've proven to me that I can trust them without me being there. So somebody who creates clips and posts on my behalf, for example, I'm like, send me the clip, let me watch it, let me listen to it before you post it because I don't trust your judgment yet. Right? So I do that I did that with my podcast editor. I did that with my brand manager. Like before you pull clips from the podcast, before you pull clips from my YouTube video and decide what to post later in the week, I need you to send it to me first so that I can approve it so that you learn my rhythm and my style. And when I don't approve it, guess what? I tell them why I don't. This happened just last week. Somebody sent me a clip like, hey, Lisa, is this good? And I was like, no. And let me tell you why it's not good. It's not good because I don't like clips where I do this, that, and that. And then she was like, got it. She's becoming a decision maker, right? But in the beginning, she's a task manager. And again, a task manager means my work is going to be increased as I train her to being a decision maker. You have to understand this. You have to understand this because a lot of you want relief through delegation, but your delegation sucks because you're expecting a decision maker when we're only able to afford a task manager. And now you got to train them to being a decision maker. And that means your leadership skills have to 10x. You got to master communication. You got to master emotional intelligence. You have to master correcting behavior, course correcting, right? And so your delegation makes you feel like you still don't have freedom, and you probably don't. Not yet, because you only got task managers working for you. Okay? Now, here's the final thing I want to share with you today, and this is the biggie. I'm about to tell you the difference between mature and immature delegation. Okay? Now, so if there was ever a time to take a note, now's the time. Okay? If there's anything I want you to take from this episode today on delegation and why delegation is not giving you freedom, it's because there's an immature and a mature decision maker now, or delegator. Okay. All right. An immature delegation looks like I don't want to do it, so I give it to somebody else to do. That's an immature delegator. Okay. So you have stuff on your list. Now, let me put this in context for y'all. The best type of context to listen to this through is the context of business, right? Y'all know I'm always teaching entrepreneurship. So An immature delegator in business says, I don't want to do it, so I give it to somebody else to do. That is the end all and the be all of your delegation. You delegate because you don't want to do it. That's an immature delegator. That's an immature leader. The only reason you give it to somebody else is because you don't want to do it. That's the only reason. Like, I hate this. I hate tech. I hate posting. I hate writing. I hate accounting. Like, whatever you're outsourcing, right? You outsource it strictly because you don't want to do it. Immature delegation. That means there's no consideration for the skill level and the mastery of the person you're delegating to. There's not a big enough consideration for it. And the most important thing is that there's no consideration for the client that is going to be the recipient of this person's work on the other end. So an immature delegator says, I don't want to do it, so I am going to pass it off. Okay? There's no consideration for your business goals, and there's no consideration for the clients you serve. A mature delegator, a mature leader who delegates says, I'm delegating because someone is better at it than me. When you delegate because someone is better at it and not just because you don't want to do it, that means there is extreme consideration for your clients and the people you serve. That means I am giving somebody the responsibility of doing this because I genuinely know that they're better at it than me, which means our clients and our mission will be better served as a result of them doing it instead of me doing it. So it is still a fact, it is still true that you don't want to do it, but that is not the only decision-making criteria you're using to delegate. The thing that takes priority when you are a mature delegator is, I'm delegating because someone is better at it than me, which means it's going to lift the whole business up because everybody is in their role that they are masterful at. And they are not just in their role because Lisa didn't want to do it. Do you see the difference? So it is okay to also not want to do it, but you make the decision on who you're giving the responsibility to more carefully when you really give a damn about the person who is going to be receiving your services and goods. When you really give a damn about the clients you serve, when you really give a damn about the stages you step on to speak, when you really give a damn about the people who are paying you their real money in exchange for your value, you delegate responsibly. You delegate to someone who is truly good at it and not just someone who is relieving you. When you only delegate because you don't want to do it, it is so irresponsible because it is so self-centered. You care more about how much you hate doing accounting. You care more about how much you hate dealing with the taxes. You care more about how much you hate social media. And so all of your delegation is based on what you hate. However, when you delegate maturely and you take your time to delegate and you're intentional about delegation, you do it based on who's better at it versus based on what you don't want to do. You hear the difference? And when you do it based on who's better at it, it means that the people you serve, the people in the populations that your business and your brand is in service to, are going to receive a much better experience because they're being serviced by individuals who were all meant to be in their roles. Ain't God good? Ain't God good? So you delegate based on who's better at it and not just based on what you don't want to do, which is selfish behind, which is self-centered behind, which your I can't stand being uncomfortable behind, which your tech intimidates me and I'm just not good at it, so I should never touch it behind, with your unhealed self. Go do what you don't like and learn what you need to learn until you properly train them people to be in their role. What is you doing? You shouldn't just be handing off anything to anybody just because you don't want to do it. When you is in service to real people with real money, how could you not take them into consideration when you delegate? You just gonna put any old body in front of your people? That's crazy. So that's the difference between an immature and a mature delegator. Now, let me give you a third circumstance. And this is the model that I've used because of how I like to service people. A third option is I'm not just delegating because I don't want to do it, but I'm also not delegating necessarily to people who are better at it. I'm delegating to individuals who I'm training to be masters. Now, here's the caveat to this, right? When I say you delegate based on who's better at it, let me tell you right now that comes with a price tag, okay? To delegate to somebody who's better at it than you, the level of skill and mastery that they have is going to cost you some money. So here's the alternative. So Lisa, I'm not in a position to delegate to somebody who's truly better at it because that talent is more expensive, right? So here's the approach I took the first 10 years of my business. I was like, okay, I'm going to delegate to people who are not better than me at it, but I'm going to train them. Now, this really isn't delegation. Let me tell you why. It's very simple, okay? So let's say, okay, Coach Lisa said delegate to people who's better at it. But I started reaching out to them people and they're expensive AF. What are my other options, Coach? Okay, your other option is to delegate to somebody who wants to be good at it, but they're not good yet. But it's not really delegation because you have to train them. And let me tell you what my type of training looks like. So I shadow everybody that I delegate to because the type of talent that I want, we can't afford yet. Like I can't afford to pay somebody a 6-figure salary yet, but I still need help in the interim, which means I have to recognize that while I'm going to give them some responsibilities that may give me some relief, the truth of the matter is I really don't have full-on relief. And those of you who are in our community, the Go Handle Club, in our Clarity community, you see this. So here, let me tell you what you're watching in real time. Every Thursday morning, we have a meeting called the Go Handle Gathering, right? The Go Handle Club is our coaching program dedicated to eliminating chronic stress. So everybody who's in that coaching program to eliminate chronic stress, they have the opportunity to come to a meeting every Thursday morning called the Go Handle Gathering. The Go Handle Gathering is led by one of our program coaches, right? So I have delegated running this weekly meeting to somebody on my team. However, when they first started, they were not necessarily better at it than me, which means I need to train them in becoming that good. So even though I delegated the responsibility of running the meeting, guess what? I'm on the meeting every week. So it's not really delegation because my time is still not free. Right? So that is your third option. If you cannot afford to truly hire somebody that's better at it than you have to train the help you do have access to. But just know that it's not really delegation because ideally you should be there as often as possible to shadow them, which we know the whole point of delegating is to buy your time back. But if you can't afford that level of talent, then you're going to have to train that level of talent. So you can either hire talent or train talent. And when you're training talent, it still costs you time and energy because I'm shadowing my team as they're becoming masters. And then I'm taking the time to give them feedback afterwards. I'm taking time to spend time with them so understand this delegation thing is heavier than what most of y'all think. Y'all really just thought I can get somebody who say they could do a good job and they're going to do a good job. You got to train people. So if you can't hire talent, you have to train talent. And when you're training talent, you probably ain't going to have time freedom from that task for a while. I have been shadowing coaches who are doing calls in our company for months. Why? Why am I still willing to sacrifice my time and energy to train somebody to becoming good instead of just sending them out on the wilderness and hoping they do all right? Because I give a damn about the people we serve. I care less about my time freedom and more about the transformation of the clients that are in the stress elimination coaching program. I care less about my time freedom and more about our clients that are in our business mastermind. We have a business mastermind where I train new entrepreneurs on starting their service-based business. And every second and fourth Saturday of the month, we have office hours inside of our mastermind. Well, one of our coaches is responsible for running those office hours, but guess what? I'm there all the time. Why? Because I'm training mastery. So when you can't afford talent that's better at it than you have to train talent, which means the true freedom that comes from delegation is not going to come until you train the talent. And that can take months. The freedom that you get from delegation often takes about a year for somebody to really assimilate to their role before you can really be like, oh, she got it, he got it. Right? So I need you guys to understand this and get this, because so many of us are struggling with being overwhelmed and throwing the towel in because we think there's no good people out here, or we think delegation doesn't work. It does. You just didn't know what was required of you. Does that make sense, everybody? Like, I hope you got out of this what you needed, because so many people are ready to give away responsibilities without consideration for the people you serve. Like, don't compromise the integrity of your business because you're so pressed not to do something. Like, how about this? Don't go into business. How about this? Submit that paperwork to your state and shut that business down if you too lazy to become masterful in something before you delegate it. How about that? That's an option. Did you know once you start a business, you ain't got to stay in business? If you're going to come into your business being lazy and only wanting to honor your preferences, I don't want to do nothing that makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to do anything that makes me too visible. I don't want to do anything that makes me face my insecurities. I don't want to do anything that feels hard to me. I want everybody else to do that. And I just want to do the thing I want to do. I don't want to do sales and marketing because I hate talking about money. I don't want to put myself out there because I don't want people online critiquing me. I don't want to do tech because I'm not good at tech. I don't want to come up with standard operating procedures and bylaws. I don't want to write contracts. So you want to delegate everything and you ain't mastered nothing. Guess what? There's a ton of 9-to-5s waiting on you to come back. They'll take you back. You ain't got to stay on this side. Baby, entrepreneurship is a different beast. Okay? You got to wake up every day and do the thing you don't want to do until you can afford not to do it. If you can't afford to hire somebody that's better than you, you got to be able to put the time in to train somebody to get good. And that's going to require you to become a better leader than you've ever been. So now you got to do leadership training. Come on. Stop sucking. Stop sucking at everything. Stop sucking at running the business. Stop sucking at being a leader. At some point, you're going to have to tighten up. You're going to have to tighten up, y'all. You got to tighten up. Okay? So delegation ain't what you think, right? Delegation is not the easy way out. You have to properly train people. You have to properly spend time with people. Let me get this straight. You don't like people, but you want to delegate. You don't even like talking to people. You out here yelling from the Utah that you're not a people person and you hate humans and people get on your nerves. But did you know delegating is like peopling one-on-one? Just go work a 9-to-5 so you can stay in your little cubicle to yourself and you ain't got to be bothered. But if you're going to come on this side of the game, you got to understand this stuff. You got to understand leadership. You got to understand delegation. You got to understand mastery. You got to understand selling. You got to understand marketing. You got to understand speaking. You got to understand articulation. You got to understand money. You got to understand stuff. You got to understand laws. You got to know stuff. And if you don't have the energy for this, don't do it. Did you know all of this was optional? It's optional. You ain't even got to do this. But what you definitely shouldn't do is come over here then suck at it. Take the time to learn who you need to become and then become that. Entrepreneurship is going to reveal every opportunity for growth, every spot that you missed in your personal development. Entrepreneurship is going to invite you to fix it. Okay? Let me put my Tabitha Brown hat. Y'all all right? Y'all know I ain't got no Tab energy in me, baby. If Tab is the soft auntie, I'm the opposite all day long. I don't care if y'all all right or not. All I know is y'all better get this lesson and make the adjustment. Okay? If y'all want some soft coaching, y'all go right over there. Y'all go over there. But I'm going to tell you, stop sucking. Stop sucking at stuff. Like, too many people are trying to pay their real money for services, and we owe them a good service. We owe them excellence. And so why would you get in the game mediocre? Why would you do that? Why would you delegate only because you don't want to do it and not because somebody is better at it? I hope that helped y'all. So if for any reason you have tried delegating, today's episode was for you. You probably suck. Now, okay, takeaways. Let's do takeaways before we hop off today, y'all. Y'all know the fee for free is I need to hear what you got out of today to make sure the message landed. So be honest about what you needed. Let me know where the slug hit you today. Shout out to Terrence. Let me know where the slug hit you today. Tell me where you hit at. Where's the wound today? Say I'm wounded. Okay, you told me I was the problem, right? You told me I suck and I need to go back to my 9 to 5. And I did. Some of y'all shit is long overdue. File that paperwork with the state. Did you know when you shut a business down, you're supposed to legally file paperwork with your state? Like, yeah. You ain't supposed to just quit. You supposed to let them know. Deregister my business because I'm throwing in the towel because I'm not what I thought I was. Okay. And that's okay. That's okay. You gotta be honest about that thing. Okay. Let's see. Deb Casey 345 says, we don't delegate out of ego and fearing others will be better at it. Ouch. Yes. That ego part. I don't want anybody to get some spotlight. I don't want to share the spotlight. Child, check your ego. Is your company in service to your ego or is it in service to your customer, right? Like we keep putting ourselves at the center of everything. We got to stop doing that, y'all. We got to stop doing that. Ange on YouTube says, I need to seek help where needed and don't be afraid to pay for it. I need a Connie. Child, everybody need a Connie because, baby, I didn't even know people mopped cabinets. You hear me? I did not know, baby. Connie done set the standard so high. Let somebody come in here and not mop a cabinet. I mean, like, you need to go back to your J job. Honey, one of my ethos in life is pay for peace. Put your money where your struggle is. Full stop. Put your money where your struggle is. So, baby, absolutely. I pay some. I don't even know last time I washed my own hair. Like, I pay for peace, okay? Takeaway, Alicia said, was that I don't need to delegate solely based on the fact that I don't want to do it. Yes, I'm the problem. And this is why I've ran through people, but I need servants at heart. I need a servant's heart. Absolutely. You have to have servant leaders, right? Everybody that works for me are passionate about the mission, right? They're passionate about being in service to people the same way. Like I have a very intentional recruiting process at my company. We're a plant-based company, right? Like one of the ways we help people with their health is through the adaptation of a plant-based lifestyle. So it suffices to say, all of the coaches on my team are plant-based, right? They believe in what the company believes in, right? So we're intentional. We're not just like, oh, anybody can do this because they can't. They can't. Okay. Diana said, I'm going to tell you what to do, but I have no clue how, Sway. Exactly. You want people to do better and help you out, but you can't even put into work. You can't even make a job description. You can't hire people when they don't know what's going on. Like that's the worst way to be led. We've all been led by not so great leaders, and a great leader is able to be very clear with you what you are being asked to do. And again, is able to create that measuring stick. This is what excellence will look like. This is what mediocrity will look like. Like a great leader is able to articulate that. Okay. So delegation is way more work up front. It really is. Unless, again, you can afford to put your money where your struggle is and you can afford to hire a decision maker from day one. Like if you can afford somebody who has mastered the thing you're delegating, then it's going to cost you in money. If you can't afford to hire mastery, then you have to hire somebody that you got to train and it's going to cost you in time, right? But either way, really good delegation is going to cost you, okay? And so that's the biggest distinction on today. Okay, that's it. That's all. Until then, go truly assess whether or not you have the leadership skills and abilities to delegate properly. If not, take some time to do the work personally. Do the work personally to become a better leader for the people you serve and the people in the audience and the clients you're in service to. All right. Love y'all. Take care, y'all. Bye.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Radical Obedience Podcast. If today's conversation resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who may need a little more peace, clarity, and courage in their life. And if you're ready to discover what's really driving your chronic stress and overwhelm, and what's required to make your obedience more radical, visit lisaangelsmith.com/radical obedience, or just click the link in the show notes to take our Radical Obedience Assessment. Until next time, remember, The goal isn't to control everything. The goal is to surrender completely, trust deeply, and obey boldly. I'll see you in the next episode.